Sit. You do not look so bad. Then, in the car, I doubted you would survive.
Welcome back, everyone, to Chimera Miniatures' official YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, Mr. Sean, and today we are diving into r/Tales of Neckbeards. At the time of this recording, this post is about 2 days old on Reddit, which might as well be old news, but since this is my side hustle to my side hustle, I can't always get it the day of, so please bear with me if you've read this one already. Now you get to listen to it. It's a shorter one. It is the short-lived tale of Tobacco Beard. Shorter right there in the title. We're going to get to that here in a minute, but first, the ads. As I have stated in previous episodes, this channel is not monetized. I have no Patreon. What I do have is a eBay page and an Etsy page that has over 100 different custom miniatures waiting for your perusal. On eBay, we do have several items discounted in anticipation of the holidays and trying to clear out old stock, but I can guarantee each of them is a one-of-a-kind item, both the safe for work and not safe for work options, so please head over there and try and get yourself a deal. I do offer on eBay bulk pricing. You'll save 5% on 2 or more figures. You'll save 15% on 3 or more figures, and you will save a whopping 25% when you buy 4 or more miniatures. So if you like what you hear on this channel, help me do it more often by heading over there or sending someone else who likes minis over there and get yourself a great deal. But now, let's get into the story. Our story today comes from Giuseppe Jackalope and is titled The Short-Lived Tale of Tobacco Beard. OP recently started a new retail job about 2 weeks ago. Surprisingly, it's been going really well. The majority of my coworkers have been extremely sweet, and customers seem to love me. Unfortunately, on my second day, I met what would be the pain in my neck for the first week. We'll call him Tobacco Beard. Already jumping in here with the ramblings, but I have met several beards over the years that have completely reeked of tobacco. So good call. I don't really know what it is. They won't switch to the vape. Like, I know that there are certain like chemical issues that people worry about with the vape, but it's never that. It's like they think somehow like not reeking of cigarettes and tobacco will somehow make them less manly, and it's like nobody really likes that scent anymore. Like, there are people who do love the smell of tobacco, I know, but they don't typically love just someone that reeks of it. Like, there's good like a tobacco incense or just letting a tobacco leaf burn. I don't know if you can actually do that, but like just reeking of Marlboro or cheap cigars is never ever, like, nobody likes that. Tobacco Beard was a very stocky 22-year-old male who smelled of tobacco and cigars. He was a total weeb, nothing wrong with that. Hey, I should hope not, I'm a total weeb sometimes too. But just about fit the bill of your average neckbeard. He wasn't exactly socially awkward per se, but he definitely seemed to lack an understanding of what was and wasn't socially appropriate. So he was socially awkward. I'm sorry, that's my textbook definition. At first, this didn't bother me, as I had just met him at this point, and I understand that everyone has their weird qualities. That's very true. Everyone does have their weird qualities. I certainly have quite a few of them, but I have, personally, I've worked very hard to understand how to use those weird qualities in a workplace and socially acceptable fashion, and it's not always easy, but it is doable, so people who don't do it are lazy. On my second day, I was introduced to Tobacco Beard by one of my female coworkers who was giving me a tour of the store aisles. He started out by complimenting my bee earrings, which I thought was super sweet. He then told me it would be cool if the little honey pots dangling from them were filled with real honey. Okay, a bit out of the ordinary, but alright. Alright, that comment, I can totally see where he was coming from, trying to be clever, but, sometimes you try and you fail, but hey, at least you tried. As the day went on, I talked to him a few more times in passing. He seemed to have a great personality despite being a little weird, and I enjoyed the small talk. We learned we both have ADHD, which I assumed could explain his lack of social awareness. Alright, full stop. Also a member of the ADHD community. You do not get to use your ADHD to, excuse your social awkwardness. I've had it my entire life, and if anything, you're hyper aware most of the time as to what's going on and how people are reacting, and there is a lot of times people with ADHD might have some form of autism that could more or less explain it away. I don't myself, but as my doctor diagnosed me years ago with autism, with Asperger's-like tendencies, I'm not on the spectrum, but I can see the spectrum from where I am. But no, you don't get to blame ADHD for social awkwardness. You might, have to monitor your talking, but that's more of that's not really the socially awkward part. You know what topics are cool and which ones aren't. There was more banter between us about our interests. I learned we had more things in common, but I didn't think anything else of it. Although I'm not a big fan of anime myself, there are a lot of my friends who are, and I have a love for Asian and Oriental cuisine. Hey, me too. His eyes seemed to glimmer at this. Oh, I know where his mind's going. I will win over this fair milady with my love of the Asian cuisine and my ability to use the blade. You've recently realized that most of my neckbeard voices could be just classified as text-beard. It is what it is. Later on that night, after things started to slow down, I was talking to one of my new coworkers about my age. For context, I am very petite and look 4 years younger than I actually am. Almost all of my coworkers assumed I was 16, which is an assumption I have grown accustomed to. When Tobacco Beard caught wind of this, he asked me how old I really was. I feel your pain, OP. I no longer look like I'm under 21, being that I am now 33, but I come from a long line of people who look much younger than they are. Combine that with my immaturity, people definitely think I'm a lot younger than I am. I actually work in the same office as my kid sister, who is 7 years younger than me, and everybody always thinks that she is the older one. She doesn't look older than me necessarily, but she does have a higher position, and she is a lot more mature than I am, so everybody just assumes that I am her, kid brother, when in fact I am actually 7 years older than her. Tobacco Beard. Wait, how old are you actually? OP. I'm going to turn 20 really soon. I know I probably don't look it. Tobacco Beard. Oh, well, at least you're still cute.
What? Nope, stop talking, go to jail.
I actually forgot to mention at the start of this that OP is a 20-year-old female, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Pedo is pedo, no matter whether your preference is girls or boys. But still, to sound disappointed as a 22-year-old male that your coworker is legal age when you thought that they were, 16, which, again, I know other countries it's not 18 like it is here in America, but from the sound of this, they haven't said otherwise. I assume this is America, where age of consent is ultimately 18 years old, and the fact that he's somehow disappointed, but hey, at least you're still cute. What does that even mean? The fact that, cool, you should be excited that this piece of what you thought was jailbait is actually of legal, a couple years past the age of consent. But no, he's disappointed, and that's fucking awful. But let's get back to the story. I sort of awkwardly chuckled and said thank you, but this was my first indication that he might have been attempting to hit on me. Wait, what? That was an attempt? He sounded disappointed that you were past the age of consent. That's like some fucking incel rhetoric that girls are just awful after the age of how is that hitting on you? I mean, it's clear that he likes you, but that was more of a disappointment than an attempt to hit on you. But it's clear that he has desires for this milady. The time to prepare the store for closing was near, and I was tasked with recovering the shelves in one of our seasonal decorations aisles. Oh god, I remember my retail days just had a flashback on that one. It just so happened that Tobacco Beard was instructed to do the same. Oh, isn't that the worst when you get paired with the person that you don't want to be around? It's always loved it when it'd be like me and my best buddy at the job would be tasked, hey, you guys recover the shelves for us. And it's like, oh, hell yeah, we're going to go get paid to hang out and do some pretty easy grunt work. Those were the best, but it always sucked when it was like one person you either didn't like or just didn't have anything interesting to talk with about, and that just made it 10 times worse. As we are ending November and getting into December, I'm so happy that I now work in the mortgage industry and do not work retail anymore. Tobacco Beard. So, do you have Snapchat? OP. I used to, but I don't really use it anymore. I'm sorry. Tobacco Beard. Oh, then maybe I can ask you for your number later. OP. Yeah, maybe later though, okay? Tobacco Beard. Yeah, okay. I'm very bad with women. Nothing makes a milady wetter than you admitting that you are awful with women, just let me tell you. If she's wearing panties, when you say that, they're gonna drop just due to the amount of a liquid they're gonna take on. That's how wet that statement gets, miladies. At least that's what neckbeards think. I have this thing where I call myself stupid, where I'm actually at least of slightly above average intelligence. One, it's just kind of self-deprecating humor, and also if people hear that you're stupid enough times, they're gonna, when you do something impressive, they're gonna be amazed by it. But all in all, it's not a great way to endear yourself when you're trying to get a date. I assume I never tried getting a date that way, but I assume it just seems like a really bad idea. Here we go. It was at this point I knew he was hitting on me. I awkwardly went back to what I was doing, trying to wrap my brain around what exactly was happening. I'm not very good at telling people no, and I easily get overwhelmed. So looking back, I'm mad at myself for not voicing how I felt. And then he asked, Tobacco Beard. So are you dating anyone? OP, a bit surprised. Yeah, actually, I am. Tobacco Beard. Okay, cool. That's nice. I purposely didn't tell him whether or not I was dating a guy or a girl. You see, I don't exactly look straight. I have really short hair, I tuck in my shirt and cuff my pants. I wear a lot of weird jewelry, and surprising majority of the time, people automatically assume I am a lesbian. And to be honest, I was really hoping the same would hold true, that Tobacco Beard would think I like girls and leave me alone. I was surprised, however, when he correctly guessed that I was dating a guy. I actually think it's really hard to just look at someone and try and gauge their sexuality. In this day and age, I mean, both straight and LGBTQ+ come in all flavors and looks these days. And I think that's great. I think it's great that we have, it's becoming that no matter who you are, you can be comfortable with yourself. I mean, back in the day, if you were a flamboyant straight man, you hid that shit because everybody like, oh, well, he's gay. Now you can be flamboyant, or you can be whatever you want. And I think that is really great. And I'm not trying to be political or anything, but I think that just if more people could just be comfortable with who they are, regardless of their sexuality, or gender, we would have a much more harmonious society. Like, just you do you, and fuck who you want to fuck, and be who you want to be. Moving on. Tobacco Beard. So what's your boyfriend like? OP. He's really amazing, and I absolutely adore him. He's going to college right now to become a therapist. The only problem is that he lives on the other side of the continent. Tobacco Beard. What? Have you two ever met before? Have you touched him yet? OP. Unfortunately not in person yet. I'm really hoping to meet him next year. Tobacco Beard. So you don't know anything about him? OP. Well, he's sort of been my best friend for the past 3 years, so I think I know him pretty well. You see, my bestest BFF was the one who introduced me to him, and eventually the two of us ended up becoming extremely good friends too. We just recently started dating. Tobacco Beard. Huh. Well, I like to keep my best friends as best friends. I don't start dating them. Then I'd have one less best friend. OP. Oh, dude, we're still best friends in a way. It's just that we are together. So I can kind of see both sides of that argument. Assuming that you and your best friend are both of sexualities where the two of you can be attracted to each other, I definitely once tried to turn my best friend into my girlfriend, and we were kind of operating on the idea that if, we wanted to spend time with each other more than anyone else of that, that we could be potential dating candidates of, that it only made sense that we would date each other. And it worked out terribly in my case. We just really weren't as good of friends as I thought we were, I guess. But I'm not saying that the actual, thought process of it is flawed. It's just you have to be very, very careful. And I don't think any of Tobacco Beard's friends would ever want to date him. So, moving on. Tobacco Beard, are you two still going to be best friends when you know? OP, now appalled. Dude, neither of us want that. Both me and my boyfriend are asexual. While we aren't super open about it and do not mind explicit jokes from our good friends about the two of us, someone I met less than 3 hours ago having the audacity to talk about me and my boyfriend in that way is when I have a problem. Definitely on OP's side here. You gotta know someone pretty well before you start being explicit, and I also only recently realized that there is a difference between asexual and aromantic, where, asexual meaning you aren't interested in physical love, but aromantic being you aren't interested in emotional love. So, you can still want to date someone and be attracted to them, being asexual, but you're not going to, you just don't want to have sex with them. And in the other end, in aromantic, you can want to jump somebody's bones, but you're not interested in an emotional connection. And I didn't realize there was that distinction until very recently. Actually, the best friend I told you about earlier that was briefly my girlfriend before we broke up, I'm definitely looking back. I think she was, maybe is, no idea where she is now, probably was asexual but not aromantic, and that is ultimately why our relationship, and to be honest, all of her relationships previous to that, kept failing. Is that I don't even know if she was fully aware that that was her preference, but I only recently realized that you can be asexual and still want to date somebody. But also, OP, good for you for establishing boundaries with this coworker, Beard. The night continued. Tobacco Beard decided to tell me what gross, kinky, sexual fantasies he would act out if he had a girlfriend, as if that would somehow impress me. I'm gonna ramble here again. A lot of times people see this behavior and think that it's just these guys don't know how to talk to women, that they've only ever talked to guys. And as a guy, I will tell you that we don't talk about what kind of kinks and fetishes we would do to a girl if we had a girlfriend. I'm sure his beard buddies and him talk about this, but this is not normal conversation. This goes beyond just not knowing how to talk to women. Also, just randomly letting someone know that you're a perv is not a great way to get them to want to date you. You gotta know that the person is gonna be responsive to that. Though in this case, this may just be him casting a wide net and seeing if anybody takes the bait. Again, I met this man 3 hours ago. I remember a moment where I got so overwhelmed by this and blurted out, "Not in this Christian establishment." Oh, does OP work for Hobby Lobby? To which he replied that he would even act it out in the store. My skin absolutely crawled. So just to go off on a Hobby Lobby tangent here, because now I assume that with the seasonal and all that in the Christian establishment, that's where OP works. Little fun thing about me. I am not a religious person. I'm not an atheist. I'm not even what I would consider to be agnostic. I believe there is a higher power. I just don't particularly care for organized religion. I think that it, breeds a lot of hate, though there are exceptions. But, the whole thing with Hobby Lobby and the controversies of its Christian owners, there are times that with the crafts that I make for sale that I've mentioned before, knowing that I go to Hobby Lobby for supplies to make money that way, it brings a little smile to my face. But again, not not bashing people who are religious, but I do think that a hive mind mentality can be problematic, though I definitely don't. Everyone I've known who has been a loud and proud atheist that loves to criticize people who are religious and talk about how they don't need a god to tell them that to be a good person are absolutely awful people, and I know that that's not everybody, again, not trying to offend anyone, but it's really funny when people talk and make fun of people for needing a sky daddy to make them behave when these people without sky daddy are absolute pieces of garbage. And again, not everyone is like that, but there are awful people on both sides. My fiance is Wicca, and I know that if my grandmother was still alive, she would have many choice things to say, not only about her being Wicca, but about her not being a Lutheran. And, but then again, that's just my rant. Sorry. But I will say, before we get back to the story, if you work in a Christian organization, probably not the best to be talking about your sexual kinks while on the clock. I know that there is certain protections for workers, but, private company, definitely don't. Their upper management is not going to defend you if there is a complaint. As I was trying to leave for the night, Tobacco Beard cut up to me and forcefully handed me his phone. Oh boy. He told me to put my number into his contacts, and because of the fact that I can't say no mixed with my desire for him to just leave me alone, I obliged. On my way home, I told my boyfriend and my BFF what happened. Both of them wanted to kill Tobacco Beard, but maybe just this once I can be glad that both of them live 4,000 miles away. Now, I know a lot of people would probably say, why didn't you just give him a fake number? But these beards have gotten smart to that. They'll actually call the number and hope that your phone rings. But, what would have been great is if when he tried to shove it at you, you managed to, and again, hindsight 2020, knock his phone out of his hand so that it breaks. That would have been fucking amazing. If he might have... He might have gone after you for it, but, he still wants to get in your pants, so he probably would have let it go, and you would have avoided having to give him your phone number. But again, hindsight 2020. A few days pass. I barely see him, thankfully, but I was still extremely uncomfortable with what he had said. In passing, he asked me if I would go to a smoke shop with him, and I told him I couldn't because I was underage. I don't know if it's countrywide now, but I was working a gas station when I was managing a gas station when the age for tobacco products went from 18 in this country to 21, and it kind of, in Ohio, where I am, it rolled out differently, different areas had it at different times, so the store I was managing, where I trained, it was 18. Where I actually started managing a store, it was 21. And we would get people all the time coming in that didn't know about the change. And they were pissed because it was like, hey, I would tell them, go across the river. It's a 5-10 minute drive, straight line to our other location that is in a different city. But, again, Central Ohio, the cities are all, 10-15 minutes apart. And they will sell you all of it. It's all good, but people were always pissed, so I don't know, I assume now, too, this is America because of the 21 restriction on tobacco. Could be Canada, I guess, I don't know. But it's, that was a rough time. It sucked to run a gas station back when that changed. Getting back to the story, I told him I couldn't because I was underage. Not that I would want to anyway. He then shoved a cigar under my nose and told me to smell it, which, dude, why do you have that with you at work in the first place? I mean, I know plenty of people who carry, a pack of smokes in their pockets. I assume you could have, a cigar tube in there as well, but why would you just shove it under somebody's face? Later that night, I talked to one of our CSMs and told her what happened. I pleaded that I did not want to make someone lose their position over one uncomfortable encounter. She said she would talk to a store manager about what happened and reassured me that he wouldn't be in any big trouble over just this incident. I felt relieved to hear that. I didn't want to cause an issue for anyone on my 4th day. That's admirable, OP, but I can almost guarantee you are not the first person this guy has had an issue with. The next day, however, Tobacco Beard was called to the store manager's office and was promptly fired. I felt absolutely horrible and called one of my friends crying that night after my shift. I didn't want to be the reason someone lost their job, but my boyfriend and other friends agreed I had done the right thing. A little while later, I learned I wasn't Tobacco Beard's first offense, even. Apparently, he's made remarks to customers about their wedding nights. There was even an instance that he made a gross comment about a customer's 4-year-old daughter.
What the fuck?
Nope, stop talking, go to jail.
Okay, so having worked as both a grunt and manager in retail establishments for 15 plus years, I know how hard it is to fire somebody based solely on comments, even if customers complain. But how did they not fire this fucker when he made a gross comment about some customer's 4-year-old daughter? Like, we already established earlier that this guy is likely a pedo, but I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, 16, it's still awful, but, you know, I'm not trying to justify, but it's like closer, and I know some people will make the comment that other countries, 16 or whatever, is the age of consent, but nobody, and I mean nobody, can defend someone making sexual comments about a 4-year-old. I don't fucking care about employee rights or unions or whatever. Someone does that and you get a complaint and you get corroborating comments from people that this has happened, that guy is gone. That guy is gone, and you're probably going to want to alert someone to put him on a fucking watch list. Hearing that one made me absolutely seethe. I'm right there with you, Opie. I just seethed about it. I just really hope he learned his lesson about boundaries and what is and is not appropriate. Something tells me this guy has not learned. Something tells me this guy will go on harassing men, women, and children until he is put in jail. And then he will be whatever prison yard he's in, he will be their soft boy. Too long didn't read. Weird coworker has no concept of boundaries and makes sexual remarks to his coworker and customers and gets fired. In the comments section, we have a comment from SwampWolf42. Your CSM said he wouldn't be in trouble over just this instance. He wasn't. This was him screwing up after multiple disciplinary issues. You didn't get him fired, he did. Please don't feel bad. This guy crossed the line from socially awkward to inappropriate, creepy, and stalkerish in record time, and has no place working with others until he learns how to behave. Giuseppe Jackalope, the OP, did respond, "Thank you. It's taken me a few days to realize this wasn't my fault, so I really appreciate that." Yeah, OP, this is in no way your fault. This guy has been long digging his own grave, and I think that it only seems sudden, because a lot of times when we see these beard stories, it's someone that, you know, is kind of getting, the guy's just starting his beardish behavior, or at least in this situation, and usually if anything really ever, like, justice ever happens to this guy, it's more or less told in like an epilogue where it's like, you know, I got out of there because I couldn't take it anymore, but he continued his behavior and I heard he got his teeth smashed in with a brick. But that's not where this story is. You're coming in when this guy has already managed to creep out everybody, and you were that straw that broke the camel's back. You were that brick that finally hit him in the face. And it's actually kind of interesting to see a beard story from this perspective, because it's like, I would love to hear from other people about what he did in the past. Because, you know, yeah, it seems like definitely what you complained about was somewhat minor. I mean, it's still workplace harassment, don't get me wrong, but some of the stuff you said that other people had said he had been doing and had been saying, it's like, I feel the pain, because there were several people that I definitely wanted to let go due to the things they'd said and did when I was managing retail, and even when I was just working alongside them, and it was next to impossible. I don't know how he got away with making the comments about a 4-year-old girl. That's just fucked up. But OP, great story. Glad things turned out. Glad you put this guy in his place, and hopefully he will either learn or he will just cease existing. And that's going to wrap up our story for today. Again, if you like what you hear on this channel, please head over to my eBay and Etsy and maybe make a purchase. Help support me, keep me doing what I'm doing. And hey, if you make a purchase, send me a message. Let me know who you are and how you found out from this channel, and I will give you a shout out in the next video. But hey, I'm Mr. Sean. You all take very good care of yourselves.